Okay, welcome to SNC Podcast Episode 16. We've got Chuck. I will not say your last name, even though I don't think it's that hard to say.
It's actually not. It's funny because it looks like it, but Pinot, like the wine.
Oh, Pineau. Oh, I was gonna say, is it Pineau? Pineau.
Oh, you're close. I give you half points for that.
It just looked French, so I assumed it would be something
Yeah.
like that.
He's from Canada, so.
It's funny
Hey.
because yeah, you know what I'm talking about. When we did the Kickstarter for Dulce with my good buddy Eric Cockrell, we've done a couple of those now, but when we did the first one, he had like an entire video blooper of him trying to say my name and fucking it up every time. And it's still on YouTube somewhere, and every once in a while I'll try to track it down and just laugh at it.
Nice.
So, who are you and what do you do?
Cool. I'm Chuck Pineau. I am a indie comic writer and editor. I've been on the scene for about 3 or 4 years now. I basically started as an editor in order to be able to show off my writing. But I mean, you guys know you got to do something to get yourself noticed, to kind of make a name for yourself. I was working on a project with someone else, and so I went, you know what? I'm gonna try my hand at editing. And Rob Anderson from Written Sins and Indie Advocates, he was asking for an editor, and he said, you know, I just need someone who's willing to work for free. And I was like, yeah, I'll do an exposure job. Like, I don't mind. So I did that, and actually it ended up working out so well that he still sent me a check, and I've worked on every one of his books since then. So now, and that's like in the last 3 years, it's like, I think we're talking about like 6 to 8 books or something like that. So it's been a good chunk. And then I have a bunch of other indies that I've worked with. So I'm easily like 2-3 dozen books, something like that.
Wow.
That's been really good.
Okay. It is. Speaking of editing, actually, why should people use an editor?
Oh, man. Okay, so I am an editor and a writer, but I still get an editor for my stuff. You can't see the forest for the trees. Like, especially when you're writing something, you already know what's going on in your head. You know what this character is supposed to be like. You know this particular plot line, how it's supposed to come out. It's hard to be able to see it from the side of a reader. But the nice thing about an editor is they're literally coming in as a reader. They get to see it from their point of view. They don't have the nuances and stuff that are already in your head. And so they just get to take it plain as the words are on the page. And so they're going to see so many things that you don't.
Yeah, that's what Dillon does for me.
No, it's definitely a fun and rewarding job to just tear someone apart.
It is. I love the idea that I can help make something better. You know what I mean? Like, literally my job, like, as an artist, you hope, they would hope that they make it better, but if the art sucks, it sucks, and that's not great. But as an editor, it's really hard to make the script or the book worse than when you got it, because when you get it, it's pretty fucking rough. So I love to think that, hey, that book is better because my hands touched it, and that's a really cool feeling.
Yeah,
That is good. Hey, Greg, you got these.
All right. So some people complain about payment for artists and writers, and like, I've seen that before. So in terms of payment, would you rather get paid like as a page rate, or would you rather get paid? There's another way, but I forgot what it was.
You get hourly or something like an editor.
Yeah, like by time.
Yeah, you can do that. You know what? I mean, I just work with kind of, and this is not saying anything. It's not meant to be rude at all, but I've mostly worked with like lower tier indies, and that is what I am. So there's no nothing negative meant by that. So the way I like to do it is I basically say, look, I'm gonna give you a bundle. So for this much money, I'm gonna do your entire book. I'm gonna come in behind it. I'm gonna proofread it. I'm going to help you with story editing. I'm gonna help you with your voices. I'm gonna do all of it. And I have for all encompassing as the editing is, I feel like it's a very fair and maybe even in some ways cheaper rate depending on where you are in the process. Excuse me, where you are in the process when I come in. But I just find it's easier for everybody. I come in, I say, hey, this is how much it is for all of that. If you can't make it work, we can talk about something. I've taken payments after Kickstarter. I've, done all that kind of stuff. I can do, I mean, editing is a lot cheaper than hiring an artist. So I hate when people are like, I can't afford an editor. Dude, I'm like 2 or 3 pages of art. Get over your shit, all right? Like, you can afford an editor, so and the thing is that we're willing to be open. At the end of the day, we work for you. So a lot of people, they get really worried, like, oh, you're gonna butcher my book and not make it what it is anymore. No, I can't do that because you're the one with the power, asshole. It's your book. I can tell you what changes I think you should make, and you can say to me, fuck no. Like, that's an option. It's your book. And so I've had to tell people that, and they're like, well, but what do you mean? I'm like, look, if you don't want to be wrong, then yeah, maybe don't hire an editor because apparently you can't handle being incorrect. But if you feel like you actually want to hear the real truth about your stuff, let's talk about it. And if you can't make the changes, then maybe this just was not for you.
Yeah, because I first wrote the graphic novel trilogy that I have, the Seer Chronicles. I wrote that starting 5 years ago, and actually this month 5 years ago. So then after a couple years went by, we finally edited the first issue, and I had Dillon edit that, and it got way better. Because I'm better at making out a plot, but piecing everything together. He's better at that. So we're now editing the second issue that's coming out next year. We're going to be doing that in December, and it takes a while to do. Yeah. Because
So-
he's like, oh well, what kind of camera angle do you want for this scene? I was like, oh shit. Wow. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Dillon, are you the artist as well, or did you guys hire an artist?
Oh, we hire an artist. No,
Okay.
I can't do. I can do graphic design. I can't draw people. That's not.
One
that's
thing
a
I would
whole nother.
one thing I would suggest is don't try to force your artist into too much of a box.
Oh yeah.
I mean, sometimes, yeah, like the camera angle is important and whatnot, but if it's not, let them play with that.
Oh yeah. There's definitely there's when we were reviewing the next comic, essentially there's a couple scenes where basically the reason why stuff like the camera angle is important is because it would depend on what would be in that panel.
Okay.
It was things like that, and so yes, I think super in depth like that, where I'm like, this artist has to draw something. If we want it there, it has to be at a certain angle.
Yeah.
What do we want to include? And so it's very it's a very interesting game, just looking through that. And I'd say the other neat reason it's nice to have an editor is just for the fact that it's having several people review your book that all all, and then giving their random detail, but it's one person consolidating it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually had people, like friends of mine, just send me a book and just be like, hey, look, it's done, but would you be willing to tear it apart for me? I'm like, oh, Yeah, I guess. Why? Well, we want to know like if we hit everything that we wanted and all that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, I'm not just going to do that for anyone because I got to make money. But you have friends, you have kind of your clique and whatnot that you sort of surround yourself and you guys take care of each other. And so yeah, every once in a while I'll grab a book and I'll be like, okay, cool, and rip it apart and tell them what I think and where I think they excelled and where they kind of fell apart. And I think it's important even just to like look at your own books that way. Like when the first Welcome to the Void came out, I had a really tough time taking any kind of flack for it. But now that I've looked at it and I've grown a lot since then, I can kind of look and go, okay, I see where I stumbled. I see the things that can be fixed and whatnot, and they make the next issues even stronger.
Yeah. So our first issue of the Seer Chronicles, I got like 30 printed because I asked people on like Facebook. I'm like, oh, who wants like the first actual copy of this? So like 30 something people were like, oh, me. And then I sent it or like hand delivered to them, and it was the only criticism was the lettering, which you need a letterer.
Yeah.
We knew that, but like I was
Yeah.
but I knew that I didn't have the money to do that, and I just wanted it out originally.
Yeah.
So Dillon.
So yeah, yeah. It didn't turn out so well. That's what I mean. I do graphic design. I'm not a comic book artist by any means.
Yeah.
It's cool. I've been actually I took a lettering course recently, and there's no part of me that wants to do that job, but it's important as an editor to know all the different jobs and sort of what defines them and what looks good and what doesn't. And so
Oh yeah.
it was really cool to take the lettering course and learn a lot and really be able to see it. And so now I can even take someone's book and I can edit the lettering and say, okay, this is wrong. And it means that now my books that come out, I'm a little more informed as far as being able to tell my my letterer, yeah, no, this doesn't work. Like have you guys heard about the crossbar eye rule?
Oh, you mean I when it has that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be only like when it's on its own or
Yeah, basically
what's the other
possessive. So if
time?
it's like if it's I've or I'd or anything
Yeah.
like that, or if it's the start of a sentence, yeah. So that's the only time
Oh,
you're
that's
supposed
what
to
the
have.
start of a sentence. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I knew there's one other
those are
time.
the only times when you're supposed to have the crossbar I. And
Yep.
so I was working on this graphic novel, and the letterer was also the writer, and I
Oh,
went through the whole thing and I went, "Do you know the crossbar I rule?" And he was like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, you broke it." And so he's like, "No, what is it?" So I had to send it to him, and he's like, "Son of a bitch." And I'm like, "Yep, you got a lot of work ahead of you, dude." And so he had to go through all 100 some odd pages and
ooh.
change all of the crossbar eyes. And he was like, this is such a bitch. And I was like, yep, but trust me, when the publisher sees it, because he was able to get himself a publisher, when they see it, they're going to know that you've done your homework and you know your stuff. And so it will be worth it, and it has been. So yeah.
No, it's definitely important too to like know all the other roles because like that's one of the reasons why on certain like panels when talking with Greg, I was like the reason why the camera angle is important is because of X, Y, and Z. Like I know what the artist has to do, whether or not I know how to do it, and so like that's how it is for like anything. Like if you're a business owner, you got to know like all the different jobs that everyone under you is doing, or you won't know if you hired a good person.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but definitely as an editor, I'd say that's probably one of the most important things is knowing all the other roles and how they fit together because basically you're just making sure that that happens.
That's been my favorite part of all of it, is learning all of that and kind of being able to recognize that.
What was the lettering course you took, by the way? Just because I'm curious, like if there's
Well, so I'm part of an editor's book or an editor's alliance. It's called the Comic Book Editors Alliance on Facebook, and it's done by my mentor, Stephen Cole. Really good dude. He's been in the business for like 30 years now, and he did a lettering course. It was free. I know that he recorded it, so I can talk to him and see if I can get like a recording of it, but it was very cool. He basically had there was like 7 of us, and he would go through, he would show us a page, and he would be like, okay, so what's wrong with this page? What are you guys seeing wrong? And then anything we didn't pick up, he would gladly he would show us like, okay, well, what about this? Did you notice that? Did you notice that? And so there really is, because we went through like, oh my gosh, I'm sure it was like 25 to 30 pages, and there was even more that we could have continued to go through. There was so many pages in there, and you're always finding new things to kind of pick at and realize, and it was from like the low indies all the way up to like stuff from Marvel and DC and whatnot. Like everybody makes these mistakes, so it's kind of up to us to see them and try to step forward as professionally as we can.
No, that's definitely very cool, actually, because we're looking at trying to build courses on our platform as well, so that, because basically, Greg and I were just talking about this yesterday. Like, one of the things we're trying to do is eliminate gatekeepers, but we still have to be reasonable in that sense. So, like, there have been creators that have come to us where we're like, dude, like, you need to work on your art first, your writing first, something like that, because like this isn't complete yet. You know what I mean? Like, so like we'll be like that, but like we have artists that aren't amazing on our site. We have writers that aren't amazing on our site, but our goal is to help them just get something out there. And then we want to help, and by doing that, we want to then help improve them along the way. Because it'd be incredible to be, you know, the generator of these amazing comic creators just by allowing them a platform to release their things on, and then get critiqued and improve based on it. And so that's I very much like the you know, almost like the find the mistake game, you know, for a comic book, and like almost intentionally taking a good comic, messing it up on purpose, and trying to have people find where there's an issue would be a really good way to like teach how to improve on comics. So that's pretty cool.
Well, that's kind of the cool thing, is you don't have to mess apart a real comic, because they're already messed up. Like it's not a perfect thing at all. So these pages that he got, they actually had problems, and they had things that, you know, like, so what he was saying is editors in like Marvel and DC and whatnot, they don't do what you and I do, Dillon. They're project managers. They're making sure that the pages are coming in, they're making sure the work's happening, they're making sure that the you know, kind of the idea, the story idea, all that kind of stuff, that stuff's happening. But they're not going over, they're not proofing it, they're not gonna go through your art and say, you know, oh well, this doesn't read well, and that kind of stuff. Like that stuff's not happening on the level that we're having to work on. And so a lot of stuff does slip through the cracks, because it's an expensive process, and it's time consuming, as I'm sure you've seen.
Oh, Greg knows. We spent so the very first comic, I actually didn't even edit it until after it was drawn, because I didn't even think about it back then. And so when we first had the comic created, it was actually illustrated before I went through and edited it. So I actually had to play this careful game of going, okay, based on how it was drawn, I now need to make sure the story maneuvers smoothly without being too you know, distracting or you know, broken from the original plot.
Yeah.
And that alone took quite a while. But this time through, I'm going through before the next issue of Seer Chronicles, or the Seer Chronicle. I'm actually going through ahead of time, and it's taking exceptionally longer, because I'm ensuring that I'm like walking through all the options that could end up happening later, knowing what the art might turn out to be. And so yeah, it's been very entertaining trying to like play with that, because going from an almost completed version all the way back to the beginning.
Oh yeah. No, it's funny, because people will ask, where should you come in? I was like, as early as possible. And they're like, oh, so like the script? I'm like, no, pre-script. Like if you can have it, You should have an editor come in pre-script. You basically would send them an outline of what the book's going to look like, and then they can tell you, you know, what works and what doesn't. That already has saved you several rough drafts, because they can already tell you from straight there, like, yeah, man, this plot line might not work, or you know, like you need to make sure to include this and that, or you know, this doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, they can already see those mistakes before you even put them on the page. So yeah, the sooner you can get an editor in, the absolute best, which is why I tell people this is how much I'm worth, and I do all of it. So get me in as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good, because like, honestly, yeah, you should have an editor right off the bat. You should have one after it's written. And honestly, yeah, even critiquing down to like the lettering later, like just an editor throughout the whole process definitely makes it a lot better. Like I know that the very first comic we ever had drawn up, which we have not released, I think it was online for a little bit, but it is no longer online. Yeah, Greg's confirming with a very adamant shaking of the head. But yeah, so basically, like when we first had that one drawn up, because Greg's the one that handles all the artwork, like he's the one that gets it made. And like I said before, before the first comic, I had never done any of the editing. I hadn't looked over any of the script, any of that, and so I ended up we ended up getting that, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so excited! Like my comic has been created, right?" And I'm just like, "Isn't this supposed to be the same guy on two different panels? He looks like a different human being, like just completely, like it just things like that, like not having the script clear enough for your artist, or not having an artist who speaks English very well, or you know, things like that can like cause severe detours throughout the whole process. And that's why I think it's very good to have yeah, to have an editor along the whole way.
Also, you need balls, and because I can't tell you how many like the first book I was ever a part of, me and the publisher and I, we went over everything. We had it, you know, we did several different scripts and whatnot. When it was finally done, sent it off to the artist, and the artist is brilliant, absolutely amazing. And he comes back, he starts sending us pages, and they look great. But I said, and the publisher was like, "They're terrific, keep going." I was like, "Whoa, wait, isn't that dude supposed to be Asian American?" He's like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "He looks like a fucking white dude." He's like, "Well, yeah, but it's not that big of a deal." I'm like, "It is if you're Asian American." Like,
Yeah,
no one's gonna know that this guy, you know, has this point of view, or is this person, if you don't, you know, like fucking show it. And so I had to kind of get on him a little bit and be like, "No, man, you gotta get on him, and you have to tell him that this is an issue."
yeah,
Because yeah,
that's happened quite a few times where yeah, we got some artwork back, and yeah, I've had to push Greg to be like, no, like this needs to be fixed, like like this is not like some of the stuff I've had to go and manually fix, because like I didn't get a chance to review it before basically the guy got paid. And I was like, man, like there was simple things, like one of our characters I never noticed. My brother had to point it out after we had already gotten the first issue printed. Yeah, where like there's a guy who's very important, like to know that this, like who it is. Like it's not so important who it is, but you need to know it's the same person. And there's one scene where the first time I did notice this, the guy's wearing a tie, and later he's running out of the building and wasn't wearing a tie. I'm like, dude, who the hell is that? And he goes, oh, it's this guy. And I'm like, he's wearing a different outfit. Like he just ran out of a burning building. Like what do you mean? Like did it burn up on entry? Like so
yeah.
yeah, and then after that was fixed, I'm like, all right, that looks good. And then later I'm having my brother read through it, and he's all confused. I'm like, no, this is that guy. And he goes, well, why the hell is he wearing glasses? And I was like, holy shit, like I just never noticed that. Like I was like, that's kind of critical.
So did you have to like erase the glasses?
I had to go in with Photoshop and like not only so I couldn't even erase the glasses, because the way that the original artist drew it, the guy is relatively in the distant. Like you can still see him pretty clearly, but his face with glasses, like they did like the that blurred look under the glasses, so you don't have to worry about drawing clean eyes, because that's very hard to see under glasses. in artwork, and I get that. So the problem was I could not erase the glasses and keep the integrity of the guy's face. So I had to take a snippet from another scene with the same guy's face, twist it, warp it, bend it across his face, blur it, color it in, blur it again, meld it over. Like I spent like an hour and a half making this guy's face look like the original face, yet look like he's in the distance in a comic the way it was drawn initially. So I had to like keep, I don't know if you ever used Photoshop or not, but I kept having to use like the threshold editor to make it like so that it was more and more abstract. And then like I'd get too far and I'd have to like start all over, and I was like, shit. But like I said, we'd already paid him, and it wasn't like we were about to get it printed. Like let alone the money, we didn't have the time to get it edited by the artist and then the colorer again. And so I had to go in and manually do that. And I'm like, so stuff like that I can do. That stuff I'm good at. I can edit things like that. But because it was a face, that took so freaking long. That was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to edit on our comics.
See, for the fans out there, comics are fun, but they're also a lot of fucking work, and you need to really care. You know, I mean, like if Dillon didn't care, then he'd just be like, "Ah, screw it, whatever." Maybe we'll just write his name, or we'll draw glasses earlier on, or something. Like I've heard of and seen people do that kind of stuff, and it's like, no, do the work. Like that's what we have to do, sadly. Like it sucks. I remember being in the argument with someone. I'm like, yeah, sorry, we got to fix this. And he's like, do you know how much time that's going to take? And I'm like, no, I don't, but I also know it doesn't fucking matter. We have to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's like any art. Like, could you imagine if, you know, you're writing a song and you like mess up a lyric and you're like, nah, it's fine, it's only one. It's like that could ruin the entire song. Like it's that important.
Yeah, absolutely.
One brushstroke, one misaligned story, like any of that stuff can be, you know, devastating. It's like, and not only that, to the amount of time you spend in doing it, it's just like your fans or your future fans will eventually notice that. You know, and the best part too is that honestly, because we have stuff like social media now, it's you also get to share the fun backstories, which is how people connect more with indie artists than they do with you know pop cultural artists, people that are already in the world of art.
Yeah.
And so that, like if you want to be an indie artist and grow, like that's how you do it, is you connect with people and you can share stories like this, like spending an hour erasing glasses.
So I'm gonna hijack you guys for a minute. I love you, like I love what you guys do. You guys show off a lot of really cool indie comics and whatnot. And I think that's something that the three of us kind of share a love of, is that we're not only creators, but we share a lot of people. And I gotta throw you guys some mad respect, because you guys are always sharing other people's projects and all that kind of stuff. And if people haven't thanked you, I'm telling you personally, like I love what you guys do and I appreciate it. It's a big deal, and I really do appreciate it. So what I was going to ask you guys is, from the last year or so, what are some of your favorite projects that you guys have seen come out of the indie world that you guys have been able to read and check out?
Anything from Afterlight Comics or Studios, or keep forgetting what it is. I didn't even know that horror comics was a thing, and then I like saw Wendigo Wood, and I was like, that's awesome. And then I just started reading all of his comics.
I've heard good things about that one.
One that I want to be funded, because he said he would put it on our platform if it's funded, is Donnor Lane. So I would really like that on there.
Oh, my boy Kyron. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because he has Shaman's Destiny on there, but I want Donnor Lane because I always wanted a Christmas comic. And I actually was trying to make my own Christmas comic. The artist stole my money on PayPal and then disappeared.
Oh.
Yeah. So he did like 3 pages, but then like I was like, oh, you have to fix this, and then he just disappeared. That was in like February of this year. Then the Advocator books. I have all of those, I think.
And we're actually sending out the third one.
Yeah. Okay. So I have almost all of them.
Yeah.
What Joel's doing with
Dust County Chronicles.
Yep.
Yep.
There's a lot.
The second one?
What?
Have you read the second Dust County Chronicles yet?
No, because I don't. I have a digital platform, but I like actually reading the physical one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think he sent it out yet. I got.
No, I think he just did. There's an email, but I was.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He's like,
I-
the digital thing's here. I was like, oh, cool, but I'm gonna just wait for the thing in the mail.
See, I prefer physical as well, but I get a lot of people who want reviews and they want it for their Kickstarter, so they'll send me digital copies. So I got a digital copy of Dust County, which I already did a review on. It was pretty solid. Donnor Lane, Kyron and I are really close. I edited his last project, Ruby from the Planet Oz. He and I just have mad respect for each other. We're good buddies. So he sent me the script for Donnor Lane, and I got to read it. And I'm not like a holiday guy. I mean, the only holiday I love is my birthday.
A national holiday, yeah.
Well, it's national for me, right? Like the nation of Chuck. But
That should be a movie, A Nation of Chuck.
it should, right? Dude, don't get me started. I will write that. But he sent me that, and honestly, if you haven't read the script for Donnor Lane yet, it's really good. I love what Joseph Duis does. I'm working on a series of books with him right now, and if you enjoy horror, Joseph's stuff is really cool because it's usually historically based. It's very kind of existential, and it's not like huge into the gore. It's more about screwing with your head and scaring the crap out of you. And his books have been really solid. I love what he's doing. So if you love horror comics, he's a guy to watch out for too.
Yeah, and there's my favorite comic, like indie comic series right now actually is broke down in like 4 dead bodies, 5 dead bodies. Yeah, so I'm not even that into like Law and Order or any like cop stuff, but like that's a really good comic.
Yeah, Travis is another one of my dudes. Love that guy. And yeah, he and I are working on a book as well. We're working on Dog Days, so for Evolution. So yeah, no, that's another really good book. I totally feel you.
Well, you don't like many holidays, but do you have a favorite food for like Thanksgiving? Or
Stuffing. You basically can't have stuffing or dressing or wherever you are in the United States. You can't have that any other time of the year almost. And so I feel like I have to wait a whole year every year to have stuffing.
Mine was mashed potatoes, but I don't know if it's mashed potatoes.
I mean, mashed potatoes you can have anywhere, anytime. Like, oh, I'll just go to KFC or Churches or something. Like, or you can just make it at home. Like, it feels like the only time you can have dressing is when you've decided, yeah, I'm gonna make a bird. So, so yeah, stuffing to me, it's the shit. I love it.
I'd say mine's cranberry sauce. That's
Now,
one that, like,
are you canned cranberry sauce or like the real thing?
either one I've had. So the canned is just like more like was it nostalgia? You know, I like it for that sake. But I do love when somebody makes like that the ones with actual cranberries in it still, like with like that. Those are pretty damn good too. Yeah. And that's something I can only picture having on like Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah.
We got one more question and then I actually gotta go. So and there's 2 questions left, but yeah. Do you have a preference on like when a Kickstarter or Indiegogo should take place during the year? Because like Donnor Lane's having trouble because it's like around the holidays or whatever. We did a Indiegogo or Kickstarter last year around this time, and it didn't do good for many reasons. But one is because it's around the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, I think from November to January are really tough times. I've seen Kickstarters make it, so it doesn't mean it's impossible, but it means that it's tough, man. But then you also have to consider if everybody stays away from those months, and then they try to all go towards the same months. Like so many people try to do it in March and April because, oh, guess what? My taxes are coming in. So it's like, okay, well, that's good. But if everybody jumps on at the same time, that's going to be a tough slog too. Same with summer. A lot of people will jump on in the summer because they're like, oh, everyone's on holidays. They've got more time to be open to, yeah, right, yeah. What the hell are those? I work in the restaurant industry. We don't get those.
Well, that and we call them like vacations and stuff. That's why it's funny.
Oh yeah, sorry. That's the Canadian in me.
Yeah. Hey.
So, so yeah, I think those are the tough times, but I mean, you can do it anytime. I wouldn't personally. Those are the 3 months where I just don't want to touch: November, December, January.
Yeah, I was gonna come out with a slasher comic next year because it was gonna be like inspired by like 80s slasher movies, but not have anything to do with them. Like we're making our own like original characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got one other guy that's on that, but I'm trying to find like at least one more person. And then we were gonna make like an anthology with that, but it all connects with this like one town that's like lost in time or something.
Oh, that's like a Roanoke sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of like that, except actually written good.
Roanoke is a real thing though. Like it's.
No, I meant like American Horror Story. That seemed terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
Yeah, like
right,
the
sorry,
twist that they thought was a twist, but it was just so bad. After that, I was like, and I'm done with the show.
Oh, rough.
Yeah, but yeah. So basically like that.
Yeah. Well, my suggestion for like a Kickstarter like that, I would either do it in the summer so that you can bring the book out for Halloween, or Kickstarter it for Halloween to kind of get people excited. So I would do one of those. I think just having it like, oh, I'm gonna Kickstart it in February. Why? Oh, because it's done and I feel like it. Yeah, well, maybe think about it a little bit more. Like,
Yeah.
like I
What about
said,
before Christmas, like the nightmare before Christmas?
I mean, if that's what it is, then yeah, you could totally like with Donnor Lane, he's been really smart because it went through Halloween and now it's moving into the Christmas season, so he gets to play off of both the horror aspects of it and the Christmas aspect. So I think by having a longer Kickstarter, I mean, he's more likely to get funded, which is awesome, but also he's been able to play off of those two major holidays, which works for him. So yeah, if there's some way that you can do some kind of tie-in, even like if you know a movie's coming up and it's in your genre and it works with you, you know, like, or if it's part of your pitch, like you were like, oh, my comic is, I don't know, part Star Wars and part Lego movie or some shit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, definitely
Like,
adapting the keywords that people might be searching for already is definitely a good.
exactly.
Yeah.
My comic has Baby Yoda in it.
Have you seen The Mandalorian yet?
I have, and I love it.
It's so funny. Like, there's so many things I critiqued on it, but I was still like, I would still watch it though. I was like, damn it.
I've got it. No, go to town.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, there are certain little things, like just the concept of Baby Yoda. Like, I'm like, that's such a stupid idea, but it's entertaining. Like, I'll watch it. Like, I get it. It's like his Pikachu, but it's like, it's so weird. And I was like, but because it's not terrible, like I'm so drawn into it. It's just like it's builds a lot of curiosity the whole time, which is brilliant. Like they definitely. I don't know. So I didn't even realize that the creator and writer of this story is the guy who plays Happy from Iron Man.
Yeah,
So,
Jon Favreau.
What?
Jon Favreau, yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I was just like, that's awesome. Like this guy must be like just loving where he is right now, being able to like go from working in like Marvel movies like that to being able to create his own Star Wars, like with the blessing of Disney too. Like this, incredible story. So it's very interesting to see how it almost looks like there's certain things they did because they knew it would be trendable or viral. Like Baby Yoda, if you took Baby Yoda out of the story, it's actually still a really cool story.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like I feel like they added him in there because they knew he'd be turned into a meme. And I'm like, like I get it. It's clever, and now people are talking about it to the point where I had to watch it. I was like, all right, I got to see what the hell's going on. And it's very good though. But I was just curious what your thoughts were.
No, it's a great show, and I think that's the funny thing is that that's something that we're now thinking of when we do stuff. Like, I started, when I wrote Belial, I was like, I need some kind of sidekick, and so I started working, like doing a bunch of research on demons and stuff, and I actually came up with the real imps that inspired Link, and I fell in love with him, and he has become fairly memeable. Like Sean Barber, the co-creator of the book, he makes memes on the character all the time and sends them out and shows them off, and it's been a lot of fun. And so yeah, it's something that ends up either coming into your brain or not, but it's something that you'll usually end up thinking about now. It's like, hey, what might be viral? Like what are these things that might just people pick up on and go, holy crap, I gotta play with this.
Yeah, just because I have to do it once, right, Greg? But yeah, there's a book called Contagious, Why Things Catch On.
Oh, cool.
And the whole point is like how to make things have the potential, because like you can never guarantee virality, but you can add things to it that'll help it like make it something that could become viral, because not everything can become viral unless like over time anything could probably become viral, but if you're taking it in a chunk of time, then only certain things will like click. And you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he talks about how like, and I've thought about this, and it's a brilliant concept. Like if you want people to come to where you are, like if you have a brick and mortar, put something there or make something physically that people want to take a picture with for Instagram. So it's like the same concept as making something in a movie memeable. It's like make it so that people want to share it, or in the sense like so. One of the ideas was like for a restaurant, like make something so outlandish that like people come just to take the photo of it, and it's like it doesn't even have to taste good. Like it could intentionally taste bad. Like,
Yeah.
and so like it's so true. But like as long as you don't distract from the story or the main thing you're trying to share, then it's such a powerful move to put something memeable, something with potential virality in it for that extra amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Greg's left out.
No, it's my podcast app went stupid, so I'm gonna just take the audio from this video and use that.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's why you gotta have backups to backups. It's great.
yeah.
Actually, wait, I just realized, Chuck, can you see my background?
I can.
Yeah, do you see the monitors that keep switching?
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. It's because it's just basically I have that right monitor over there is Google Hangouts with a blank it's with that's how there's like you see our logo on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that's there. That's that account over there. And then on the left screen, it's OBS watching that screen. And because that screen's never talking, it's always switching between whoever's talking, and so OBS just records it like that.
Well, and then you've got the screen that you're currently looking in as well.
Yeah, well, like the screen I'm looking in is only reflective over there. Oh man, my hand's huge. Anyways, but yeah,
Drugs
so
are
it's
bad,
like
kid.
just having it so that that one screen is just constantly switching to whoever's talking and having the OBS recording was pretty awesome. Like because we were trying to figure out how to do it because we used to use just Google Hangouts and there was like a recording function. But yeah, then it just like they're like, nah.
It was right after our first recording, actually. They're like, oh, this is changing in August something. I was like, what?
Yeah, which I actually like this way better anyways, because I think the original way it just showed them side by side, like the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is was cool because you constantly saw them. But now it's almost like we have a cameraman switching between whoever's talking, so it's kind of cool.
Well, I gotta go get furniture, but thanks for
I
being
hope you
on.
get some great
now,
t-shirts.
right?
What?
You're in your new place now?
Yeah,
Nice.
better. There's a living room and everything. So,
I was waiting for you to be like, there's a refrigerator and a microwave.
Actually, I gotta go get a microwave.
Spoiled. You don't even have the microwave. Oh, grandioso. Living the life.
You can come back on like next year because we're doing one more episode. It's like a holiday episode, whenever that is this week, and then that's it for this year.
I would love that, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely fun having you.
Thank you very much. I had a good time.
Yeah, and even though Greg's not cutting it on Anchor, this will still be a good spot to cut it when you crop it later. But yes,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us, Chuck. And for all you listening, definitely come back and listen to our final episode for the season or the year or whatever.
Yeah.
We come back in January because we're disappearing in December. December? There we go. Words. December. I remember. Yeah. Cool. Anyways, but yeah. So bye, everybody.
See ya.
Cool.
Oh, it's straight done. Oh, okay.